Los Angeles is a city built on glittering illusions and shattered dreams, and no one understands this fundamental truth better than Darcy Dillon. Stepping onto the sun-drenched pavement of Southern California, Darcy is not just a concerned mother visiting her child. She's a calculating, battle-tested strategist arriving on an active war zone. The seasoned veteran, carrying a mysterious and formidable aura, has descended upon the city at the exact moment her daughter, Melissa Dillon, finds herself caught in the brutal, escalating crossfire of the corporate and personal war between the Forrester and Spencer families. Darcy does not see the swaying palm trees or the superficial glamour of the fashion industry. She sees a vulnerable empire ripe for the taking. Her singular, unwavering objective is to ensure that her daughter secures the ultimate prize, the Spencer name, the vast Spencer fortune, and the highly coveted title of Mrs. Will Spencer. Darcy is a woman who has clearly weathered her own severe storms, and she has molded herself into a fiercely protective, almost dangerously obsessive matriarch. She views the Spencer family not as human beings with feelings and flaws, but as a towering fortress that must be conquered by any means necessary. Her arrival sends an immediate, chilling shockwave through the social strata of the city. She is intimately aware of the immense wealth and unchecked power that Bill Spencer and Katie Logan wield, and she is entirely unimpressed by their usual intimidation tactics. Darcy has arrived with a meticulously crafted agenda, and she possesses the kind of ruthless, cold-blooded determination that makes even the most hardened corporate sharks pause in their tracks. She is prepared to cross any moral line, break any societal rule, and completely destroy anyone who dares to stand in the way of Melissa's permanent ascension to the top of the Los Angeles elite. However, the psychological reality of the situation is far more complicated and agonizing for Melissa Dillon herself. Up until this point, Melissa has played a highly dangerous, calculated game of emotional chess. She has worn the mask of the innocent, supportive friend, all while strategically positioning herself to catch Will Spencer as he tragically fell from grace with Electra Forrester. She capitalized on Will's vulnerable, drunken state to finally hit the sheets and seal the physical deal. Yet, with her mother's sudden and overwhelming arrival, Melissa finds herself trapped in a suffocating psychological cage of her own making. She is caught in a terrifying limbo between Darcy's extreme, borderline toxic brand of maternal protection and her own unexpectedly genuine, deepening feelings for the Spencer heir. What started as a cold, calculated maneuver to secure her financial and social status has morphed into a complex, messy web of real human emotions. Melissa actually cares for Will, and she is beginning to realize with mounting horror that her mother's ruthless, scorched earth tactics might destroy the very man she is trying so desperately to claim. On the other side of this impending, catastrophic disaster is Will Spencer, a young man currently drowning in a dark, suffocating sea of his own crushing regret. The morning after his passionate, drunken encounter with Melissa, Will woke up not with a sense of romantic triumph or new beginnings, but with a paralyzing wave of remorse. His heart, despite his physical betrayal and the shattered pieces of his life, remains stubbornly and tragically tethered to Electra Forrester. Will is spiraling into a deep depression, haunted by the agonizing memory of Electra throwing her necklace at him in disgust. Horrified by his own violent outburst that left the legendary patriarch Eric Forrester with a severe black eye. He is a broken, fragmented man, desperately trying to numb the searing pain of losing the woman he truly loves. And his intimate night with Melissa was nothing more than a desperate, misguided attempt to fill an unfillable void in his soul. He is completely oblivious to the terrifying fact that his momentary lapse in judgment has permanently sealed his fate. Will's current emotional fragility and deep psychological wounds make him the absolute perfect prey for an apex predator like Darcy Dillon. He is already carrying the massive, crushing weight of his family's toxic corporate secrets. He was forced by his parents to lie to Electra about Hope Logan Spencer's shocking defection to Logan Creations. A devastating deception that ultimately triggered the violent implosion of his romantic relationship. Now isolated, vulnerable, and cut off from the Forrester family, Will is completely blind to the intricate, devastating trap that is being meticulously set for him. He naively believes his night with Melissa was a regrettable, isolated mistake that he can simply apologize for and walk away from, a temporary lapse fueled by grief and alcohol. He has absolutely no idea that Darcy is expertly weaving a media web that will make walking away completely impossible. The dynamic between Darcy and Melissa is a fascinating, dark study in maternal manipulation and generational trauma. Darcy operates under the impenetrable guise of absolute maternal devotion, constantly convincing Melissa that every ruthless, underhanded action is taken purely out of love and necessity. She expertly manipulates Melissa's deep-seated insecurities, constantly reminding her of their past struggles and the absolute necessity of securing a permanent, untouchable position in high society. Melissa, who has spent months desperately trying to maintain her good girl facade while secretly harboring intense, gold-digger ambitions, is now terrified by the sheer, unadulterated magnitude of her mother's destructive plans. She sees the cold, calculating, predatory glint in Darcy's eyes and realizes that to her mother, Will is merely a pawn on a chessboard, a means to an end. Melissa desperately wants Will's love and affection. Darcy only wants his last name and his trust fund. The inevitable, explosive collision between Darcy Dillon and Katie Logan is a titanic clash of two fiercely protective matriarchs, each perfectly willing to burn the entire world down to ashes to protect their child. Katie has been highly suspicious of Melissa from the very beginning of her integration into Will's life. Her finely tuned maternal instincts have been screaming that this seemingly sweet girl is a dangerous, calculating opportunist, a Luna Nozawa 2.0 looking to sink her venomous claws into the vast Spencer fortune. Katie has been conducting a fierce, relentless, and highly confidential investigation into Melissa's dark past, determined to unearth the skeletons hidden in the Dillon family closet. She is desperately trying to protect Will from making another catastrophic, life-altering mistake, especially now that his life is already in absolute shambles due to the vicious corporate war raging between Logan and Forrester Creations. When Darcy and Katie finally come face-to-face in a closed-door meeting, the atmosphere in the room is absolutely electric with unspoken physical threats and palpable, venomous hatred. Katie, armed with her growing suspicions and her formidable, seemingly infinite Spencer-backed resources, attempts to fiercely intimidate Darcy, warning the newcomer to pack her bags and take her manipulative daughter out of Los Angeles immediately. But Darcy does not even flinch. Instead, she smiles a cold, knowing, terrifying smile and flips the script entirely. Darcy does not just defend her daughter's honor. She goes on a brutal, calculated offensive. She looks Katie dead in the eye, her voice dripping with malice, and threatens to mercilessly expose the darkest, most closely guarded secrets of the Spencer family if Katie dares to stand in Melissa's way or jeopardize her future with Will. The specific nature of Darcy's threat sends a chilling, paralyzing realization down Katie's spine. Darcy has not come to Los Angeles unprepared or empty-handed. She has done her homework with terrifying precision. She knows all about the violent, bloody bar brawl at the Bikini Bar. She knows about Will's unhinged, aggressive attack on R.J. Forrester. And she knows the horrifying truth about the accidental punch that left Eric Forrester battered, bruised, and humiliated. But Darcy's leverage goes even deeper into the Spencer family's recent history. She heavily hints at explosive, career-ending media revelations, threatening to paint Will Spencer to the global press as a dangerous, unstable, violent monster, and the entire Spencer family as corrupt, morally bankrupt enablers who use their wealth to cover up his heinous crimes. Darcy makes it abundantly, terrifyingly clear that if Katie tries to destroy Melissa, Darcy will annihilate the entire Spencer legacy in the unforgiving court of public opinion. This fierce confrontation is not just about Will's messy love life. It is a direct, existential threat to the newly established, highly vulnerable empire of Logan Creations. Katie and Bill Spencer have just executed the corporate coup of the century by ruthlessly poaching Hope Logan Spencer and successfully launching the wildly popular Hope by Logan brand. They have publicly humiliated Forrester Creations, enraged Brooke Logan Forrester to the point of a violent, physical altercation, and positioned themselves as the undisputed new kings of the Los Angeles fashion world. The company is currently riding a massive, lucrative wave of positive PR and record-breaking advance orders. However, Katie knows that this new empire is incredibly fragile. A massive, scandalous media expose detailing the violent, erotic, and potentially criminal behavior of the Spencer heir could instantly destroy their brand's carefully curated reputation, causing nervous investors to flee in droves and major buyers to cancel their lucrative orders overnight. Katie finds herself trapped in an agonizing, seemingly impossible dilemma that threatens to tear her apart. Her primary, overwhelming instinct is to fiercely protect her son from a manipulative gold digger and her ruthless, blackmailing mother. She desperately wants to expose Melissa's lies and banish the Dillon women from their lives forever. But doing so would immediately trigger Darcy's media nuclear option, destroying Will's future prospects and obliterating Logan Creations in one swift, devastating stroke. Katie realizes, with a sickening, heavy sense of dread settling in her stomach, that Darcy holds all the winning cards. The woman has expertly and sadistically weaponized the Spencer family's own recent misdeeds and corporate ruthlessness against them, creating a nightmare scenario where Katie's absolute silence and forced compliance are the only possible ways to prevent a total, catastrophic collapse of everything she has built. While Katie desperately wrestles with this impossible, agonizing choice, Darcy is already putting the next, most dangerous phase of her master plan into motion. She is not a woman who relies on empty threats alone. She is actively and meticulously orchestrating a sophisticated, inescapable media scandal designed to permanently and legally bind Will to Melissa. Darcy knows that Will is currently consumed by guilt and regret over their night together and is highly likely to try and distance himself from Melissa once he sobers up. To prevent this inevitable retreat, Darcy is quietly planting seeds with the most vicious tabloid press outlets in the city, preparing to leak carefully curated, highly sensationalized details of Will and Melissa's intimate night together. But she is expertly spinning the narrative. She is not painting it as a drunken, regrettable mistake. She is preparing to frame it as a passionate, undeniable, whirlwind romance, perhaps even heavily hinting at a surprise pregnancy or a secret, impending engagement to force Will's hand. Darcy's fabricated media scandal is designed to be a tightening, suffocating noose around Will's neck. Once the explosive story breaks across the internet and newsstands, the public pressure on the Spencer family will be immense and unrelenting. Given Will's recent, highly publicized history of violence and the ongoing, vicious corporate war, the Spencer family simply cannot afford another negative, scandalous headline. Darcy is banking her entire strategy on the fact that Bill and Katie, in a desperate, panicked attempt to control the public narrative and save their company's plummeting stock prices, will be forced to make Will embrace the relationship publicly. Darcy is orchestrating a horrific situation where Will's only conceivable path to redemption in the public eye is to stand dutifully by Melissa Dillon, effectively forcing him into a lifelong commitment he does not want, all to save his family from absolute financial and social ruin. The impending execution of Darcy's ruthless plan spells the absolute, irreversible, and tragic end for Will and Electra Forrester's epic romance. Electra is already deeply traumatized by Will's deception regarding the Logan corporate secrets and horrified by his shocking physical violence against her grandfather and RJ. She has permanently moved out of the beach house and firmly aligned herself with the protective embrace of the Forrester family. However, a small, tragic, hidden part of Will still holds onto the desperate, foolish hope that time and distance might eventually heal their deep wounds. When Darcy's fabricated media scandal hits the headlines, Painting will end Melissa as the city's newest, most passionate, and inseparable power couple. Any lingering shred of love or forgiveness Electra holds for will instantly turn to pure, unadulterated disgust and hatred. For Electra, this meticulously planned scandal will be the ultimate, undeniable confirmation of Will's ultimate betrayal. She will see the glaring headlines, she will read the fabricated, intimate details of his night with Melissa, and she will believe every single word of it because of his past lies. It will completely validate every harsh warning Ridge and Eric ever gave her about the toxic, destructive, and untrustworthy nature of the Spencer men. Darcy's calculated actions will ensure that the fragile bridge between Will and Electra is not just burned, but completely vaporized into ash. Will be left utterly isolated, permanently cut off from the woman he truly loves, and entirely at the merciless mercy of the Dillon women. As the trap slowly and inevitably closes around Will, Melissa will be forced to confront the horrifying, ugly reality of what her mother has done in her name. She wanted Will, yes, but she wanted him to choose her willingly, out of genuine affection. Now, she is helplessly watching her mother construct a permanent, miserable prison for him. Melissa will have to make a soul-crushing decision, whether to remain silently complicit in Darcy's ruthless blackmail and media manipulation, securing her elevated status, at the terrible cost of Will's happiness and soul, or to finally stand up to her terrifying, overbearing mother and risk losing absolutely everything she has worked for. The psychological toll on Melissa will be immense and tearing, as the delicate line between genuine love and forced captivity becomes completely, tragically blurred in the Hollywood Hills. The stage is officially set for a catastrophic, emotional explosion that will rock the very foundations of Los Angeles society. Darcy Dillon has arrived not just as a fiercely protective mother, but as an apocalyptic, unstoppable force of nature, ready to weaponize the Spencer family's darkest, most shameful secrets to elevate her daughter to the throne. Katie Logan is backed into a terrifying, suffocating corner, forced to choose between her son's personal freedom and her company's very survival. Will Spencer is blindly, tragically walking into a media snare from which there's absolutely no escape, his heart still bleeding for a woman he has lost forever due to his own tragic mistakes. As the long shadows lengthen over the glittering, deceptive facades of Forrester Creations and Logan, one thing is absolutely, terrifyingly certain. Darcy Dillon will not leave this city until she gets exactly what she wants, and she does not care whose lives she has to completely destroy to get it.